Sonic Movie Show is a weekly show that you can find on a variety of podcast services. Keep up with us by following our Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. Alright folks, it's episode 61, I almost said of the Chronicles of Diesel, of the Sonic Movie Show. We will never get to 61 on that show. The only show that's about Sonic news, lots of movie news, and even Sonic movie news, but lots of movie news. My name is Ethan. With me here today is Devin.
Nice to meet you. Are you looking for Sonic? I'm warning you though, I'm Sonic's girlfriend.
What's that from?
Sonic Rush. Amy Rose.
Really? It's from a game? I could have sworn that was probably from a cartoon. I don't know Sonic apparently because of all these quotes.
I think we've been faking it this whole time. I think this is our journey to become Sonic
I've
fans.
definitely played more games than you for sure.
Oh yeah. But I believe you can be a fan of something even if you've only watched one thing of it.
And I believe you can be critical of something and not actually have played or seen all of it too. We're not talking about Sonic today though. I wish we were, but we're not. Instead we're talking about movies. I don't know. I would have loved if we actually had a new Sonic game to talk about. Think about that. Eventually we're going to actually have to cover a Sonic game.
I know. So how long have we been doing this now? Over a year, right? For sure. A year,
60 episodes.
60 episodes. And we only have covered one Sonic game that came out 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
Did Sonic Team Racing come out while we were doing the podcast?
But it was like...
It was right before we did it, because it was like a March game.
Yeah, and I played that whole thing. I can give you a rundown if you want. It's not good, but...
In any case, next week is the Game Awards, so maybe they'll announce the Sonic game, then we'll
Could you
have
imagine?
a trailer.
Or they do the Sonic movie, but they make it look like a game.
Like a crappy mobile tie-in game.
Or they make it look like the movie, and it winds up being the game, and it's Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, the game.
Just like Ratchet and Clank.
Yep.
Based off the movie, based off the game. That movie was terrible, though. In any case, not talking about Sonic or its movie, just movie news today. One gigantic major thing. We were sitting today, in our private houses, texting each other what we wanted to talk about, and we didn't really know what we were going to talk about. At least that was my perspective. And thankfully, Warner Brothers gave us a gigantic piece of news to talk about hours before recording.
This happens honestly a lot, and I'm glad we record on Thursdays.
Our bacon is saved.
I think we've gotten saved a couple times this year, despite this
Which
pandemic.
Is
we've been saved by these big corporations in that way.
Which is hilarious because most of the podcasts I listen to that cover news, like it's a weekly show and about a certain subject, right? It turns out usually hours after they record, then a giant thing that's worthy of being news airs. So I'm glad that for us, maybe it's just because we'll fucking talk about anything that's kind of related to movies or Sonic the Hedgehog that, we can make an episode out of it. But I'm glad our bacon is always saved every week. Warner Brothers announced today on the 3rd of December. I almost said October because of COVID.
We're going back.
Warner Brothers announced today that every movie they release, all 17 of them apparently, in 2021 will have a 1-month hybrid exclusivity to HBO Max as well as being in theaters for whatever its run is. The first month, not the last month of it being in theaters, the first month. So on the day Dune comes out, we can watch it on HBO Max at home. I am excited for that. Now, this idea stemmed from the fact that they announced they were going to do this with Wonder Woman 1984 coming out on Christmas Day, and they were going to do it for 1 month on HBO Max. It's going to be the first film that's in 4K HDR.
Yeah,
because HBO Max doesn't actually have 4K yet in its app, which is crazy to me. It's all 1080p stuff, and it's the most expensive streaming service.
Yeah,
that's out there,
$15.
Which is hilarious enough. Yeah.
You know, Netflix is getting up there now. I think they're raising the rates after this year, or if they haven't already. I think it's getting up there.
I keep getting emails from them being like, you can start as low as $8.99. Come back, please. And I'm like, for what? Standard definition?
Yeah. At 720p? You want to watch Stranger Things Season 3 720p?
Yeah. Eventually, we'll come around and define 720p as the new not HD, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That is not HD enough. 1080p is still HD to me because most things, like in terms of video games, can keep it looking nice and a consistent frame rate.
Yeah, the only thing I watch in 720p is like Twitch streams. Other than that, get that shit out of here.
Exactly. I watched a kid play Hades the other night, and he was doing really well. And it was in 720p.
It was 60 FPS.
Yeah. Actually did was it in? Anyway, what was I going to say? Wonder Woman 1984 was going to be just the movie that did it. HBO Max, unlike Disney Plus with Mulan, you're not paying extra. It's still just the $15 a month, whatever your normal HBO Max subscription, and you just get it. It's only available for the first month, and then when it comes out on Blu-ray, it'll probably pop back up there, right? But
yeah,
first month it's there. Be there or be square. It helps get people to subscribe to HBO Max
even
now
for a month
instead
even
of
for
later.
A month. Yeah,
even for a month, and people will to watch one movie, and I would for that movie. Movie tickets probably going to be cost about the same anyway. So it's not like it's Mulan where it's like spend $30. You got to make sure you have a bunch of people that would see it to make it financially worth it. And then you obviously have all the other stuff on HBO Max. You can watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. Highly recommend it. In any case, that was just a special thing because that movie got delayed. And Warner Brothers, on the behest of Christopher Nolan, released Tenet. I don't even know if it's still in theaters. It
I
might
saw
even
an ad
be just because it needs to.
I was watching the Ravens game the other day, and there was an ad that popped up that said "in theaters now" or "on demand," but it said it had a break. It was like "in theaters now" and "on demand," and I just thought it was funny. So I guess it's out if you want to go find it. So
the fact that it's still in theaters also is because there's nothing to show, which is a big point we'll get to in a second.
I want to say though, if you're looking at the timeline, I remember we discussed this as soon as COVID hit. Theaters closing, that we discussed of like, is this the end of movie theaters? And I think we're gonna tie that in with this announcement. But I feel like I don't know if we like got it spot on, but I know we talked about like once we heard like that some of these movies are being delayed, they're like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna go on Disney Plus. I wonder if they're gonna go on these streaming services, Amazon or whatnot. And we saw it actually with the first movie we really saw it was with Bloodshot. Remember, we could just buy it up front, and that was it. And maybe that should have been first domino outside of closing.
Made money enough to do it
because I'm making a sequel.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right. And then we saw it again, like you said, with Mulan, and it was have Disney Plus, and then also $30 on top of it. And now that
even now, sorry to interrupt you again. The Pixar movie earlier this year with Chris Pratt and
Onward.
Tom Holland.
Onward, yeah.
Now that was in theaters before COVID, before theaters shut down, and it became Disney Plus. The Pixar movie for this holiday season, starring Jamie Foxx, is just going to Disney Plus. Like, not even as the pay us extra. It's just going to Disney Plus.
World Tour was another successful one that did really well.
That's the one that started the whole like hand wringing about the end of theaters because was it Fox?
Universal,
or no? Universal, not Fox. Universal said we're going to do this forever, and then AMC said, the fuck? Probably rightfully so because it's like, hey, we have a contract, and you openly saying no,
yeah,
to like not even us to just we didn't even know you said that,
yeah, but yeah, that goes into this big news of that Warner Brothers is dropping all the movies, like you said, in 2021 that were supposed to come out either last couple months or for next year in general are going to be on HBO Max day one, same time as theaters. And like you said, you could either go to the theater or stay at home, COVID or not, possibly. I feel like they're committing to it now. They're not going to change their minds to get subscribers pissed off. So I feel like you already locked that in for 2021. Like we could have a vaccine tomorrow, everyone's A-okay, COVID's dead, and I feel like they're going to lock into this.
And, I think we're going to have different opinions on this in terms of the granular aspects of it and outcomes. One news piece stemmed off this is AMC's shocked response of like, hey, we agreed to this 1 month HBO Max windowing thing for just Wonder Woman. We had no idea that, Warner Brothers was going to announce this. Like, that's not something that, so they're pissed. I read the quote earlier, and the CEO of AMC didn't pull we're never showing your movies again, because I don't think they're in a position to say those anymore, those kinds of statements. But like, no, we will continue to fight for our business and making sure that our business doesn't just die out. at the hands of I almost said of corporations as if they're not a corporation.
This is literally a corporation war at this point. And a producer war.
And like one of the things he said is about like, oh, the vaccine's right around the corner. But in the back of my mind is like, do you really think we're going to be A-okay by February? By March? Are you really sure that we're going to be 100%
vaccine
back to
or
normal?
Not? Vaccine or not?
Well, no, let's just say we do have vaccines. Do you really think we're going to be back to normal before March? Before Black Widow? Does Disney think that? You know what I mean? Like, at best, you're looking at, okay, you don't have to have empty seats. You could fill them up. But, like, there's still the risk. That's your best case scenario. Like, the most realistic best case scenario for your company. Yeah. So, while obviously you would want to defend your right to exist as a business and not just be walked over and stepped on by Warner Media, one of the biggest, media companies in the world. Right, exactly. Obviously, I'm 100% with AMC in that regard. At the same time, like, all the movies got delayed this year because of COVID, and AMC got fucked. And now
not
some
just
movies
them,
are experimenting.
We gotta say Regal too.
Yes, but
Cinemark.
We love AMC, or we loved AMC because we haven't gone since Sonic the Hedgehog. Even though we spent like 10 episodes saying will we, won't we go to AMC, we eventually didn't. Anyway, let me finish. All these movies got delayed because theaters can't go there. Now some movies are starting to come out in digital. Would AMC rather have no movies at all from Warner Media, or have this? Because to be quite frank, the other option is everything just gets delayed again, and AMC has nothing to show. AMC at least has movies to show. Like, to be honest, the vaccine isn't going to be distributed through the air like a conspiracy theorist would like to think, in a positive way even. Like, it's not like everyone's cured. We're all going to rush back into the theaters to see, a Dune or whatever movies first on the thing. I think Dune was delayed like a full year. We did a full episode on the movie delays. In any case, it's not like your business is at the risk of being destroyed because of this decision. Your business, which AMC already had to delay its automatic renewal of their A-list stubs program, supposed to be December 31st. If you didn't, like, our subscriptions for it got put on ice because obviously you can't go to the theaters, so they're not going to charge us. They iced them all, but they're still active. They're going to actually start charging again December 31st because we're open. By now, you should have had a decision made. Well, they had to delay that till the end of March. Because guess what? It's not going the way you think. You know what I mean? Not all of us actually... I never obviously activated again. And I'm probably going to have to, unfortunately, delete it because I don't see myself going back to a theater anytime soon.
Yeah, especially now that we know even more and more about this virus and that it spreads airborne, and indoor areas are probably the worst place to be. Yeah, exactly.
So AMC cannot possibly be imagining that everything is going to be fine and dandy by February or whatever.
I think it's just...
And that this decision will destroy them.
I think it's...
This decision, if anything, ensures that their business kind of stays alive because they're giving them 17 movies throughout the year to show, as opposed to like, well, man, Dune is like going to be a gigantic box office hit. Can we just delay it to 2022? At least they get these movies. It's better than nothing.
I understand that. And like, I'm like all over the place with this, to be honest. I think in the end, everyone's losing, really. Like, I really miss movie theaters in general.
I got a $10 gift card I've never been able to use for AMC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I've been thinking about it a lot every time we do this podcast, especially, is that like man, I went to the movie theater like at least twice per month. And like I remember like there'd be times when it was just my girlfriend and I would be like, hey, do you want to go see a movie tonight? Yeah, sure, let's do it. And we would just go. We don't even have a movie we want to see in particular. We would just go and pick one. And like that was so cool to do as someone who's really in the last couple of years has really gotten into movies, and
the subscription really made that worthwhile.
Yes, 100%. And with this, I know we talked about this concern, is that with all these movie theaters suffering because they, like you said, they either are forced to be closed or they have no movies to show, or people just aren't coming in, even if they did have movies. Because that's the other thing is you say that this is better than nothing, but how many people are actually going to go? Regardless if it's Suicide Squad or Avengers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
I feel like it's an
they
L.
have something to show, though.
Yeah, I guess. But they had Tenet, and I don't think anyone's seeing Tenet. Everyone was a lot of people were hyped for that film. Is anyone actually seeing it? Doesn't sound like it, because people realize, oh, my health is so much better than doesn't even matter.
What
if
I
it's
mean, though,
Spider-Man.
is that from AMC's perspective, like, the alternative is not have a movie. You know what I mean?
I get it. I just think
like,
there needs...
people aren't going to go to the theater to see Dune because of COVID, not because they can see it at home. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like, yes,
I
yes, that is going to be a thing, but like,
I think there's a lot of people...
we saw with Tenet that people still didn't want to go back to the movie theaters.
I think there's a decent amount of people who just don't go to movie theaters anymore because either A, they're expensive, and if they already have these subscription services. They already have Netflix. If these movies come to Netflix, I will say at least HBO Max is expensive enough and more exclusive enough that, like, I think it'll have at least the AMC might have a little bit more of a chance of getting more people. But if this is like, I'm just saying, like, this is the first step towards, okay, now all these movies are Amazon Prime, or you can see them in these. And we talk about this where like someone like Amazon could buy AMC and make it an Amazon theater.
Yes, that's right.
And that's what I'm worried about. That's my biggest concern. Is like, yeah, this might be cool up front, but I'm like, this is, I feel like, another nail in that coffin that is movie theaters as we know. I think we all agree that's going to change, but I'm more worried about the worst case scenario, which is AMC already filed for bankruptcy or is going to file for bankruptcy. Yes, they get something better than nothing, but that's still not going to be enough regardless. And what are we doing to help these theaters? I still think that in some way that these production companies have to do more for these movie theaters, because at the end of the day, like, yes, eventually maybe movie theaters will be gone and we can watch The Matrix 5, 8, or whatever number it is on HBO Max and never have to go anywhere again. I guess that's cool and convenient, but I think movies are meant to be seen in theaters. I guess call me like I
agree with you.
A movie snob, but like, I don't want to watch Godzilla versus Kong at home. Like, I want to watch that in theaters.
I don't want to watch it at all. Haha.
You know what I mean? It's just like, or Suicide Squad. I kind of want to watch that in a movie theater. I feel like it's a good popcorn movie. Or I want real popcorn, real movie theater popcorn.
I have been craving real fucking popcorn.
So it's like, I think this would be cool, I guess, in a way. We're like, oh yeah, I can watch Dune. And don't have to go out in a pandemic. But I've seen people on my Twitter timeline, like a decent amount of people I follow in the gaming or entertainment industry, and they're all like, I hope this becomes permanent. And I'm like, why? You know, like, where movie theaters already struggle enough to make money, out pandemic or not, and then you complain about food prices and all that. Do you think that's going to change when I can just go home, sit at home and watch the movie? You think they're going to get more money? No, they're going to increase their prices, and it's just going to become a boutique thing. In Rochester, they have the Little Theater there that plays movies that were already out for 5 months, and they do like specials and stuff. And like, they are getting, I think it's a super small theater, and the tickets are cheap, but everything else is expensive. And the only way they get people in is if they do weird things like show Predator on 16 millimeter, that I went to, or my grandma goes because she has nothing else to do. But I'm saying, how many people are going to want to go see some of these other smaller movies? I think maybe at the very least for AMC or whoever runs the show in a year from now, is that like, yeah, any Marvel movie, Disney movie, even if it's on Disney Plus, I think people will still go to the theaters to see that. But I don't think people are going to go to theaters to see Tom and Jerry, Space Jam: A New Legacy, these other movies I don't even know. It's like smaller movies that you wouldn't see. John Wick's, those kind of, budget films. I mean, unless it's Avengers where everyone, like, that's the hype. You gotta go to the theater to see that. I think you don't get that with these smaller movies. Not saying that Tom and Jerry isn't big, but you know what I mean? But at the same time, I guess maybe they see the money in this, that a lot more people are are willing to buy HBO Max and watch it on there, and Warner Brothers sees the money in this. You know,
So
I'm just very concerned that this is the end. Like we kind of talked about it earlier this year that like are movie theaters doomed as we know it? And I think the answer is 100% yes, and it's already happening. I think quicker than I would have thought. Like I wouldn't be surprised if someone buys AMC by the end of next year. I wouldn't be surprised if this just becomes the norm. And why would we ever go to the movie theater again for the average folk? Why would a family go to a movie theater again? And even though I hate it sometimes when their kids are in the theater and they're yelling, but who's going to be going to the movie theater? People who are really into movies. And I feel like that's going to have to change the way we go to movies anymore. I don't know. I'm just concerned that like even with Marvel and all that, maybe that will die down too eventually. I don't know.
Well, yeah, in that sense. Well, you said it earlier. You used the correct word here, and it's boutique. You know, lots of things die. Lots of things die with new technology, and convenience trumps everything. People will pay more for convenience because it's convenient. Right? We saw that with iTunes. People were actually more willing to pay for songs on iTunes than steal them, because it was easy to just give them money and get a song. Boutique experiences like if in this future where there is like next to no gigantic chain theaters, you know what I mean? It's just very consolidated and small, but they're a boutique experience. A boutique experience like going to a theater being rarer than seeing a movie at home. Yes, it will change how movies are made, how they're budgeted, how they are marketed, and how they are shown. It'll change the legacy about how we make content in general, how they make content in quotes in general, right? It will be more serialized stuff, Marvel levels of huge or not. You know, like kind of like how Netflix does a lot of stuff. It'll be a lot of stuff thrown at the wall to see what sticks, and then just capitalize the fuck out of the stuff that does stick, because at this point it is just giant money. All right, it's easy to make money off of stuff when you're not splitting revenue shares with other people. That's why all of these companies want to have their own streaming service. You know, you look at like we talk about video games a lot. A place like Sony, you can buy a game digitally on your PlayStation 5. If it's from EA, 30% of the money that they make goes to Sony. But Sony makes 100% of the money of a game they sell themselves on their own system. So NBC making a movie only available on Peacock. No one wanted Peacock. People wanted the NBC stuff on the services they already pay for. But NBC isn't paying any royalties. You know what I mean? They're making all that money themselves. It's going to change all that kind of stuff. It's not going to be the way it was before. I would argue that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, and I will argue that what we had wasn't necessarily pure, perfect, golden.
Oh yeah, I don't want to say experience. That either. I was just kind of saying I'm
and I'm not saying you are, but like, you know, change isn't a bad thing. We as progressives want change, not to try to like hamstring your argument into against your own ideology there, but to me, just because we're not going to have a Regal, an AMC, a Cinemark on every major city corner, you know, on every major commercial street, isn't a bad thing. People will still go to see movies in a theater. People haven't forgotten the idea of going to see whatever stupid horror movie is out that's super overhyped. Like the one you like, that isn't actually all that good. But people remember going to see a movie there and having that experience. People remember going to see Avengers Endgame or Star Wars or all these things in a theater, and they're going to value that experience and go and pay for it. Like, yes, everyone knows that movie theaters don't really make money off the tickets, they make money off the concessions. And we all agree that that's not really a good business model, and that's why they have subscription services now. Basically doing what Netflix is in the terms of, you want this thing, here's just a monthly access to the thing.
Yeah.
Convenience. That's what it's all about now, is just convenience, right? It's about consumer first convenience. Yes, like, just because it's going to die down doesn't mean it's going to be dead. Everything needs to adapt and change. We don't like corporations, even if they're corporations that do things we like. Doesn't necessarily mean that they deserve an untouchable holy shield, you know. So to me, I am okay and actually like the idea of movies being available on digital formats day and date with theaters. I'm 100% down. I actually really like this idea. It makes me more willing to see movies I would have never wanted to or had interest in seeing before because of the convenience of me seeing it at home. And it does mean that, and I'm only speaking for myself here, I'm obviously not the masses of people, only speaking for myself here, the experiences that deserve to be seen in movies feel that much more special because I don't have to go to a movie theater to see a movie in general. You know what I mean? It does feel more special. Does that mean that AMC Stubs is more expensive? Because in order to accommodate? Sure, but it's going to make things feel more boutique and special. Video game prices have gone up. A single-player video game I bought for my PlayStation 5 that I own cost me $70. I value that differently, even though it's up by $10 more than it was last generation. It still feels like, well, man, I gotta actually... This really feels like a commitment in terms of money now. And it feels more special that way in a sense. Like, I'm choosing to do this. While, yes, there is, you know, Xbox Game Pass and all these now trying to subscriptionize in these kinds of things in an industry that is more of, hey, you went to go to see a movie and you paid money for it and you walked away. We're used to that. But now with, you can get everything but in the kitchen sink for $13.99 a month with Amazon's thing or with Xbox Game Pass, or you could pay $70 for an experience that's unbelievable. Those are two different things.
Yeah,
and
but I'm saying some of these movies are supposed to be that $70 PlayStation game. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to be boutique anymore. It's because I can go at home and watch it. I can watch Avengers at home now. Why would I go...
I can wait. I can wait for some of these games to go on sale. I can wait for them to go on Xbox Game Pass.
But I'm saying there's no...
What
I'm trying to say, I can sit at home.
People will still go. People will still go. People will still go. And it doesn't have to be a Marvel movie for people to go to theaters. It will be a horror movie. It will be random stuff. People will still go to theaters to watch these. Regardless of if it's an a la carte payment or if it's a part of some movie theater subscription. People will still go. I firmly believe people still actually like going to the movie theaters. Maybe we'll walk away from this whole COVID experience if it ever ends, and a different perspective on cleanliness and, you know, food sanitation. Maybe we'll walk into the theaters with a different mindset than we did before in regards to that. But people will still go to movie theaters. If in this apocalyptic view that you and I are having right now of movies becoming day and date digitally as they would in theaters, it still doesn't mean that they're not going to theaters at all. But again, content would change. As I said, there will be less movies made with theaters in mind. But there will still be theaters and people will still go to them. I don't believe that this is
I just think theaters will become what we see in like Broadway shows. Which I'm not saying is good or bad. I just prefer that I could go see, even if it's a bad movie, in the theater. Because maybe it won't be as bad if I see it in the theater than I would at home. Like you're saying horror films. Like, I think horror films 100% should be seen in big movie screens with very big speakers. I understand people out there might have their setup or whatever, but that's not how you film the movie. You don't film the movie for some dude's projector.
The people that care about cinematography and the artistry of films will go see a movie.
That's what I'm saying. And like you
said,
to
be quite honest, like I've seen
I don't know how many people are.
Do you actually? I've seen a lot of people say like, do you actually like going to a movie theater? Think about all the things you do in a movie theater. The whole thing about it. Do you actually like all of these things, or do you just like having a gigantic screen and loud ass speakers? If you're in a Dolby Cinema, then there's one in your fucking ass that rumbles when Godzilla does his breath. He lights up your ass.
Yeah,
like, that's what you like. And you can still go and do that. But there are a lot of people, they might not like that stuff. Or I'm not going to say they might not like that stuff. They might not care enough for that stuff, and they have the convenience
That's what I'm saying is,
of watching Wonder Woman.
Groups of those people there are. Like, there's people. How many people? I guess you have to look at like how many people watch all the award shows for all these movies. How many people actually care about that? Are we talking about hundreds of thousands? Are we talking about a couple million? Are we talking about 100 million? I don't know. Movie theaters have been on decline, and maybe rightfully so. I'm not trying to, because look, AMC, big corporation. I think we should always be breaking up big corporations. So maybe in a way, this is great in terms of a capitalism mind.
It's not going to be great because, as we mentioned before, what's going to end up happening is they're just going to be bought by someone bigger than them. So it's not
or maybe they
broken.
don't, and they just have to close some extra theaters. But then those theaters are bought by maybe local people and are refurbished, maybe done differently, do little specials. Cool. I'm just saying, I don't know how many of those will there be, and how many of these Warner Brothers and stuff are going to be like, why would we ever drop Matrix 4 in theaters again? Let's just fucking drop it on HBO Max. That's my other concern, is like they'll see more money in the streaming services too, that eventually they're like, we don't even need to put them in the movie theaters anymore.
So unless there's like deals going on, don't think that the cost of making cinema-ready production of a film, like the physical stuff you would send, because I don't think it's just an email a file. I do believe that they actually get a shipment of something, whether it's a film reel anymore, or if it is just a drive, a max
film
drive.
I just mentioned a big giant thumb drive.
Exactly. Gigantic USB.
Yeah. For some reason they need it to be bigger.
Exactly. Or if it's just like fucking a whole bunch of like ribbon cabling, where it's got like all these pins like inside your computer. I don't suspect that the cost of that stuff is exponentially high where you would want to cut it out completely and save a lot of money. Like if I were to go back to video games, making physical packaging and discs and stuff, right? I don't think that the cost of that is that high. So unless there's deals going on with Netflix or whatever, I don't see a reason to not have your movie also in theaters, because it's not like one takes away from the other in the sense of, well, if we have it in theaters, we can't put it on digital. Now that was the way, obviously, with the windowing aspect and this and that. In this future where movies are just on whatever streaming service, digital platform, video on demand, whatever, they will also be in theaters. So I don't see that taking away from theaters in the sense of there are less movies going to theaters. There might be more crap coming to Disney Plus. How many fucking stupid Christmas movies went to Disney Plus or made for Disney Plus, Hulu,
Netflix,
Amazon, Netflix?
Netflix made another Santa Claus movie with what's his name in it?
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, another one. I saw a trailer for it yesterday, and I'm like, really?
Yay. They're going to make another Fred Claus? You know what I mean? Like, yes, there will always be that garbage, but I don't personally see movie theaters dying. People like movie theaters. People like them. People also don't like movie theaters, and they'd be more than happy to see movies at home. I'm honestly thinking like doing a thought experiment here, sitting down and be like, do I really wanted to see Wonder Woman in a movie theater, or would I be more than happy of just seeing it at home? And honest to God, Devin, I'm kind of fine with just seeing it at home. I don't know if I actually needed to go to a theater. I think my mindset, speaking for myself and only myself here, is more of a obligation. Well, I obviously have to go to a theater to see movie X. Therefore, it's baked in the experience of seeing a movie. But you remove that experience and it's just the movie. Where would I want to see it? Well, I mean, to me, for a lot of stuff, I do want the convenience, and I do appreciate the convenience of just seeing it on my nice TV at home. Personally. But for looking at movies on the list, I probably would want to see Dune in the theater. I probably would want to have to babysit you and see Godzilla versus King Kong in a theater and fall asleep twice. Now, that movie wasn't nearly as bad as I like to make it out to be. I was just tired that day.
Very good. That's fine.
And I was leaning back.
No,
I remember I watched Spectre, James Bond Spectre with David in a movie theater, and I fell asleep twice too, and I liked that movie. So
I don't think we're either of us are wrong. I think we're both though just I think, concerned in that way, where it's like it is changing and it is scary and it's a little bit sad in a way. Like when you have something you don't appreciate it. Like I remember when we were doing this podcast, like really getting into this podcast again, we were all like, 2020, man, we're really gonna try to see a movie every month and review it and do all that. And we didn't do that because of COVID, and like now that might change it all. Like
I mean, now
it might be easier.
We can.
It might be easier. We don't have to meet in theaters. I get that. I think there's pros and cons to this for sure. I think like I said, the pros. I keep going back and forth for this personally. I love Godzilla. I want there to be as many Godzilla movies, good or bad. I'd rather just have quantity than quality.
They're all going to Netflix Japan.
Yeah. So
you see that? All of them?
Yeah. Hopefully they do something with like HBO or something. There's a couple on HBO Max. But the legendary Godzilla series that's been delayed and whatnot, because Godzilla King of the Monsters was supposed to come out.
And to be quite frank, forgotten about.
Yeah. The first Godzilla movie was a success, I would say. And then Godzilla the King of the Monsters, I think, wouldn't say was a bomb, but it didn't hit the marks I don't think that Legendary wanted. I don't think they upfront and said it, but they did kind of say that like Godzilla vs. Kong needs to get a lot of money for us to continue doing these. We want to keep doing them,
right,
and whatnot. And I of course want them to. Like as a huge Godzilla fan, I know Godzilla King of the Monsters wasn't the greatest film of all time, but like that movie really hit me to the core, where I'm like, this is what I wanted as a kid. Like honestly, like if they don't make any more Godzilla movies, like yeah, I want more. But if I never get another Hollywood level Godzilla movie, at least I got this. Like that was such a salute to Godzilla fans in so many different ways. I can do a whole thing about it. But of course I want more, and I want these movies to do well. And I keep going back and forth whether or not this actually helps something like Godzilla vs. Kong, where I don't know if it would have made much money without in regular theaters if you take away COVID and all that. I especially don't think it would have done well if it comes out in March or wherever it was supposed to come out and COVID's still around. 100% it would bomb. Now with HBO getting it, I did hear rumors on Reddit and stuff, so I take that with a grain of salt, that Netflix was trying to get Godzilla vs. Kong. So they were fighting over it, and HBO Max, I guess, won. And I know a lot of people are kind of upset because HBO Max is
because it's
more expensive, less people are watching it. But in a way, I wonder.
Legendary owned by Warner Brothers?
I think so. They must be. Yeah. I think there must be. That's their higher. Warner Bros. Owns everything too. It secretly owns it. They do a much better job, I think, of hiding it than Disney does. I think Disney tots like, oh yeah, we have fucking Star Wars. Oh yeah, we have fucking Marvel. When Warner Brothers, I think, is kind of like, yeah, we own a lot, but we know whatever. But yeah, I think something like Godzilla vs. Kong could benefit from this. But once again, we don't have all the numbers. They won't show us the numbers and the money that HBO Max will make out of this. But who knows? Maybe this happening, I might get another Godzilla movie after Godzilla vs. Kong,
right? Because
of HBO Max. It might get more money than it would in theaters. So
Devin.
Yeah.
To wrap this segment up, this big part here, I'm going to just say all the movies that are the ones that are coming out on HBO Max the day they come out in theaters over next year, and as well as this holiday season. So we have Godzilla vs. Kong, Wonder Woman 84, The Little Things, Space Jam: A New Legacy, a movie I didn't actually think was being made. I knew it was always joked about, but
put something on Instagram a couple months ago of him wearing the jersey or whatever. So yeah, I kind of knew about it, but I didn't know when it was coming out.
Then there is Malignant, Those Who Wish Me Dead, The Suicide Squad, Dune, The Many Saints of Newark, Tom and Jerry, which I didn't know was being made, In the Heights, which that trailer I absolutely hated, The Conjuring extra sequel, The Devil Made Me Do It, The Matrix 4, which is crazy, I can't wait, Mortal Kombat, which reminds me we need to see that sequel before this movie comes out. So
I think it's a late 2021 because I know they right before the pandemic hit they just got into production. So
yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah, a movie that I can't really read the title of because it's in like handwriting and this is a very low res image, but King Richard, I think.
Yeah, you're
I think
right.
it's
yeah.
supposed to be like a retelling of the King Richard story, and Reminiscence. So those are the 17 movies. So personally, I had HBO Max since the day HBO Max started, and I never unsubscribed because I've been watching things on it. And my plan was after Woman Wonder. My plan was after Wonder Woman 1984 to end it there, watch the movie, end it. But now I'm going to keep it. If they have a pace where it feels almost like PlayStation releasing first party video games, where it's like they make an event of all of their movies, big HBO Max movie premieres, I might just continue to keep it in perpetuity.
I mean,
just
as long as
watch
this pandemic stays on, the only one maybe I'd make the exception to is Godzilla vs. Kong, just because I have to. But yeah, like you said, maybe Dune 2 is the other one where I'm like, I kind of would want to see that in theaters. But if it sounds like we're not, if the pandemic's still going on, that doesn't matter to me at that point. Like, my safety is first. If we're still going to keep doing the show and all that, then I think it'd be smart for us to keep it too, so that we can review The Matrix 4 or Tom and Jerry.
Right. I don't want to watch Tom
We're watching
and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
But I would watch King Richard if that's what I think it is. And I'm not watching In the Heights ever. So that's that. Also, in other news, in other gigantic conglomerate news, Disney has Disney Plus, and they've been trying to figure out what they want to do regarding how they release films and all that stuff. And because of that, they've not done a few events that they normally do throughout the year to announce stuff. There's D23, which they do every year in the summertime, which is where traditionally we've had the Marvel movie rollout, the Pixar movie announcements, panels, that kind of stuff. There is no Comic-Con conventions anywhere for them to go to. Apparently, towards the end of the year, they do an investor day, which I don't know if normally it's like a big event that they do, or if it's more of like speaking to investors, because Disney's a big company that probably has quite a bit of investors. Here's why you should continue to spend money on us. They're apparently doing this. It's coming Thursday. It's apparently going to be a 4-hour-long live stream. And since they've never done any kind of announcement stuff, we might actually get big Marvel rollouts. We might actually get Star Wars announcements. At the very least, we might actually get clear, concrete information about how are they going to do the HBO Max thing that we just talked about? Or are they going to do you spend $30 to buy this fucking movie and still pay for $7
or they have a bigger
month
tier
Disney.
or something. They'll do like a $20 Disney Plus tier where you get day one, like you said, kind of like HBO Max is doing, but it's all Marvel, Star Wars for next year or whatever was supposed to come out.
Yeah, exactly. But then, like, how does that get in the way of the fact that, well, we've been making original programming for Disney Plus itself. We've been making Marvel shows. Do the Marvel movies coming out on Disney Plus change up the value that consumers might see in Marvel stuff?
I will say, watching the new Mandalorian season, like, definitely raised the budget, and I'm just like, honestly, there's moments where I'm like, this is like the same level of Star Wars movies that we saw in theaters.
Interesting.
So I'm just like, and that's what we're only paying, $10, whatever it is a month, for that. So if they did something like a higher tier, I can't imagine what they can do. For sure.
Yep. All right, Devin. So at the end of every news episode, Devin, we read a book. Not really a special book, but it's our book. It is Sonic the Hedgehog, the official movie novelization. Now a major motion picture in theaters everywhere.
Still is.
We're on chapter 13 of this book. It's almost done. Almost. The pain might soon end. As always, I narrate while Devin does all of the voices. Are you ready, Devin?
I was born for this.
Can't wait to get this over with. And then apparently read fan fiction for people. All right. Tom and Sonic rattled into San Francisco in the late afternoon. How they ever made it, the policeman couldn't figure out. But they were just blocks from the place Maddie was staying in. and if he could find a way to explain to her what the heck was going on, he might have a chance at saving the hedgehog and himself in the process.
What the heck?
You're reading ahead.
No, I'm saying you said what the heck was going on. I'm just like, what the heck?
Oh.
Instead of what the hell is going on.
What the fuck is going on? Tom knocked frantically on the door to the apartment, and when Maddie answered, he hurried in with a blanketed bundle close to his chest.
Hi, baby. Cool place.
He rushed in with a nervous smile.
Do you carry, like, cat-smelling salts with you when you go on trips? Tom, what happened to you? Are you bleeding?
He felt his forehead and rubbed off the grime of sweat and blood.
Oh, that? Yeah, that's either from the broken window or the robot bee things. It's fine. Anyway, cat-smelling salts, or, like, smelling salts for something slightly bigger than a cat?
Maddie furrowed her brow, but pulled a tiny bottle from her first aid kit.
They don't make smelling salts for cats, but I have human smelling salts.
She said, and shot her husband a look.
What's it for?
Tom laid the blanket down and unwrapped Sonic. He had been slowly fading since he shocked Robotnik's setup, and now the hedgehog's breathing was growing more and more shallow. Maddie's eyes widened and then darted back and forth over the animal's frame, immediately shifting into doctor mode.
He's a hedgehog. Or so he says.
Tom said, smiling at his wife's take-charge attitude.
It talks almost constantly.
Maddie put a hand to its chest and 2 fingers on its neck.
Holy! His pulse is racing.
I almost read that.
I didn't even read the next line. That might be normal for him, actually. But you've got to help him. He isn't usually this sedated. In fact, he never is. I don't know his physiology, Jesus. I don't know his physiology, but he doesn't seem to have any broken bones. He's just really banged up.
She said, and in a matter of minutes, she had cleaned and dressed Sonic's wounds. Maddie took a deep breath to settle herself, and then pooped, and then popped the cap of the smelling salts right under the animal's nose.
Gotta go fast!
Sonic shouted as his eyes snapped open, and then he spun around the room. The blue blur ricocheted off the ceiling and the fridge with a clamor, and then came to rest atop a bookshelf. His breathing never slowed.
Donut Lord. Oh, and hello.
He sidled up next to Maddie's leg. What the fuck? And she jumped just a hair.
It's Pretzel Lady, right? Good dude you got here. It's Maddie, buddy. What is it with you and food?
Asked Tom.
More importantly, are you okay?
Sonic bounced on his heels. Sonic bounced on his heels.
Feels like everything's here, but I'll be in better shape when we have those rings in hand. Tom, can I please talk to you?
Maddie said, her eyes never leaving Sonic.
Hedgehog, you stay here. Try to rest. Sure thing, I'm great at resting. I rest faster than anybody.
He said, adding.
And it's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Maddie led Tom out of the room.
Okay, first of all, can we take a moment to acknowledge how under control I've been? I didn't freak out. Totally calm.
She said, and held out her fist. He bumped it gently.
Secondly, what the heck is going on? Is that thing an alien?
I didn't know she was from the Bronx.
What the heck is going on? So you know how crazy Carl is always going on about the Blue Devil? That's him. He's real?
Maddie touched her temple and processed it all.
What's he doing here? What are you doing here? Well, remember how I told you the raccoons are back? I kind of sort of shot our little blue friend with the trank gun. You did not. It's hard to explain, but it's crazy important that he gets to the Transamerica building, and I promise to take him.
Tom said. He took her by the shoulders and looked deep into her eyes.
I'm still unsure of all the details, but we've got a spook on us that's just a shade away from being a Looney Tune, and more than anything, I trust this little guy. I promised I'd get him to safety.
Maddie's eyes raised with concern at her husband, but it only took a moment until she was back in problem-solving mode.
I have about 1 million questions, but I get it. This is the job. Helping people is what good policemen do. It's what you're doing.
She bit her lip.
Blue alien hedgehogs still count as people, don't they? I think so. I don't deserve you. You know that.
Tom said, and kissed her feet. No, and kissed her before they headed out. Sonic stood in the middle of the room, toe tapping like a drum. What? Sonic stood in the middle of the room, a toe tapping like a drum roll.
What took you guys so long?
He said.
Let's go climb a building.
Let's go climb a building. The Transamerica building rose up in the heart of San Francisco's financial district. Tom was certain that from its pyramid-shaped top, you could see everything from the Mission District to the Golden Gate Bridge out across the water. But after Sonic sprinted up the side of the skyscraper at top speed, the Hedgehog said the one thing that was out of reach was his bag of rings. The prize had warped on a section of roof fenced off from the ledge, so the only way to get to it was going inside. That's right, that's the excuse in the movie, too. Because I remember, being like, oh yeah, he rounds up the building. Why didn't he just grab it? There's a fence?
Can you jump over it?
Grab bolt cutters.
Jump over it. You're Sonic.
You ran up a building. Anyway, so the only way to get in was going inside.
It's surprising how much people will get out of your way when you flash a badge, even not a state one.
Tom said as the elevators beeped through dozens of floors.
How long do you think before they call in my future coworkers? Let's hope it's long enough,
said Maddie.
Don't worry. I'll get him where he needs to go, and then SFPD can background check me to their heart's content, because he'll be back to being a figment of Crazy Carl's imagination. Hey, this figment can hear you, you know.
Sonic called from inside the duffel bag. A woman next to them turned in horror.
Do you have a child in that bag? No, sorry. I had to go to the next page.
You just stopped at that page and
No, said Tom.
No, said Tom.
I mean, yes, it's a child, but it's not mine.
The woman fled at the next floor. They got off at the top floor and climbed to the stairwell to this roof access. Sonic gagged on his way out of the bag dramatically.
So fucking hot. Tom said, just kidding. It smells like Right Guard and Old Ham Sandwich in there.
What the hell's Right Guard?
I think it's a deodorant.
They can't spring for like Old Spice? Use something
Dude.
that kids actually know. He said, coughing.
What do you do to your body, man? Listen, pal.
Tom stopped the hedgehog at the door.
Are you sure you're ready for this? Back on the highway, what was with that crazy lightning display? I don't know. It's only happened one other time. At the baseball field. The blackout. What were you doing then? Just playing baseball.
Sonic said. He hesitated, then added.
Okay, there might have been some light crying involved.
Tom smiled.
Emotions are powerful things, Sonic. Humans struggle with them all the time. But you don't have to struggle alone. You don't have to bottle it all up.
Man, I didn't realize this became super anime all of a sudden.
Donut Lord, you don't know what it's like when I let that chaos out of me. That chaos control.
He said. Damn straight.
I've never seen humans shoot lightning out of their butts. Yeah, me neither.
Tom said with a laugh.
Oh, yeah, me neither. But wherever
Tom said with a laugh.
Wherever you go, or whatever you do, you're just not meant for breaking stuff. Leaving Earth, leaving Green Hills behind, that's not you ending something. You can build something good from it, too.
Tom didn't want to send Sonic off with the little guy feeling bad about himself. He was going to be a better cop and a better person for having called this troublemaker his friend. And he told Sonic that.
This picture's blurry, but I think I could make it out. Thanks, Tom,
said Sonic the Hedgehog.
And thanks for saving my life.
They hugged, and then Tom opened the door to the roof. The rings shone bright in the sun, and as Sonic walked toward them, he began to shimmer with blue energy, too. His nervousness was electric. Sonic pulled the bag out of its sheltered spot. He held one ring in front of him toward the open sky, focusing hard. Then he turned and said,
Think of where I want to be, and the ring will do the rest.
The golden circle in front of him began to glow. Craboom! A swarm of drones burst up over the ledge of the building.
Of doves.
That's what I almost said. So, a swarm of common pigeons. A swarm of drones burst up over the ledge of the building, scattering glass and rubble across the roof. Their high-pitched hum rang in Tom's ears as it was joined by the hum of a rocket. A massive egg-shaped drone loomed up above them. No, it wasn't a drone. It was a ship of some kind, a sphere of blades and bombs, with Robotnik wearing a control harness.
Don't leave without saying goodbye, Hedgehog.
The mad scientist cackled.
Not when I find myself so attracted to you.
The spook was in full supervillain mode. His red jacket fluttered like a vampire's cape. Tom stepped between Robotnik and Maddie and steeled himself for a fight.
Sonic, I've got things here. You just run. I'm not running away anymore.
Sonic called. Instead, the hedgehog turned and ran straight at Tom and Maddie as hard as he could.
I'm sorry,
he cried, and then he pushed them over the skyscraper's ledge.
Dun,
and that, my friends, is the end of this story. The book is finally done. It ends just like the movie, with Sonic killing 2 people.
I will say that the mother-in-law wasn't in this, or the kid.
It was her sister, not her mom.
Oh,
she was staying at her sister's house in the movie.
Whatever.
I mean, there's no mother-in-law either. You're right, but
sorry, I mean those characters.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And they skipped the scene where they talk at the receptionist desk and prove why they need to go upstairs.
Yeah. It'd be better in the movie if he just flashed the gun.
Jesus. Now listen.
Like they don't accept the badge at first. He's like, look, dude, you want to pull out the gun, bro? I'll do it.
Exactly. Well, this has been a fantastic, exhilarating, and exciting, relentlessly enticing episode.
A lot of adjectives
of the
there.
Sonic Movie Show. A show that you can find on a variety of podcast services like the place you're listening to this right now. Other places include Apple Podcasts, the Audible app from Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, still, as well as other places like Deezer, which I actually finally blocked on Gmail, officially. I can't get spam from them anymore. No matter how many times I unsubscribe, it's done.
You might have got an email that said we reached 2 billion views. Or listens.
It's not like an account email. It's just a sign up, please. Whatever. In any case, we're all on there, as well as a bunch of other episodes, other things about movie news, Sonic news, etc. We do a full podcast series about Vin Diesel's filmography. It's on this feed. It's called The Chronicles of Diesel, once a month, first of the month. Let us know what you think about HBO Max's and Warner Media's plan to release movies day and date on their own streaming service as well as in theaters. Are we crazy? Am I crazy? Am I right? Is Devin crazy? Is Devin right? He's probably not right. Let us know what you think
Art dead?
On Twitter. I mean, Art was never alive to begin with.
Damn.
As long as capitalism's in the way.
True.
Let us know your opinions. Our Twitter is @SonicMovieShow. I'm on Twitter @EthanAbsolutely. Devin is on Twitter @CURSONA YouTube. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you next week for another episode. What's our show called?
Sonic Movie Show?
That's right. Goodbye.
Bye.